Hey guys, Jeff here with Passive Income Unlocked, and in this video I want to talk about the types of keywords that my team and I like to target. So this isn't going to be a keyword research tutorial by any means. I do have a couple videos on that coming out soon, but in this video I really want to just focus on why we like to target low volume keywords versus some of the other approaches that you might see out there. Later on in the video I'm also going to walk you through using a tool that I like to use for gauging search volume, and I'll show you the range of volume that we like to target. So if you spend any time at all researching building niche websites, which if you're watching this I'm sure you do, you've probably come across a few common approaches to building content and driving traffic to that content. So one common method that you might see out there, and this really comes from the big guys, is to target high volume keywords. So the thought behind this is if you can rank for a high volume keyword, you can get a ton of traffic to your site with very few articles. Of course, the problem with this is to get traffic to or to rank for a high volume keyword, which is also highly competitive, is that you need backlinks. Google has stated over and over again that they don't want you building backlinks to your site. They want to see your backlink profile grow organically, just naturally over time. If they can detect that you're building backlinks manually to your site, then you can lose your rankings overnight. Happens to people all the time. So I don't like this method because it's higher risk. There's definitely people that can pull it off, and there's ways to do outreach that's not quite so black hat or gray hat. There's some that people consider to be more of a white hat method, but at the same time, if you're building backlinks to your site, you're taking a risk. Everyone knows that. So that I like to stay away from that approach. Another approach you might see out there is to target buyer intent keywords. So this is great if you're trying to build an affiliate site. But again, the problem is that buyer intent keywords are very competitive, and they're becoming more and more competitive over time as more people jump on board with affiliate marketing. So the same thing, you need to build backlinks to your site. Again, you're taking risk by doing that. Just another approach that I like to stay away from. So instead of doing that, I don't like to build backlinks. We've actually never built a single backlink to any of our articles. So what we do is we actually target low volume keywords. And it's not that we want to target low volume, it's that we want to target low competition. And as you can probably imagine, the lower in volume you go, the more likely you are to have low competition. So that's why we target low volume. If we can find something that's medium volume, that's low competition, yes, we will go after that. It's just not very common. So speaking of volume, when we're gauging search volume, we use a tool called Keywords Everywhere. It used to be free. Now it's still very cheap. I think it's something like $10 for 100,000 credits. That's what I'm going to show you on my computer in a second here. I'm going to walk you through using that tool. And when it comes to search tools, you have to know that they're not 100% accurate. No tool will be 100% accurate. I mean, if you watch Income School's channel with Jim and Ricky, I'm sure you've heard them say many times that they don't trust tools because none of them are accurate, and you check one versus the other and they don't match up at all. I agree with all that 100%. I'm going to show you how I use Keywords Everywhere to somewhat get that to be a little bit more accurate. It's still not 100%, but it can still you can still use it as a guide just to give you some general direction, so you can make informed decisions instead of just taking shots in the dark. So with that being said, let's jump over to my computer and I'm going to walk you through that tool and just give you a couple of examples. Alright, so the first thing I want to show you here is how to install the Keywords Everywhere plugin. It's a Chrome extension, Chrome or Firefox. So basically all you do is go to keywordseverywhere.com. You have two options, install for Chrome or install for Firefox. So click on whichever browser you use. And then on the next page you're going to have an option here to download and install it. In my case it says remove from Chrome because I already have it installed. So let me take you back here. I'm going to show you the pricing real quick as well. So if we go to the pricing tab, you'll see that this is very cheap. So $10 for 100,000 credits, and I'll show you in a second what a credit means. But for me, like even when I'm doing a lot of keyword research, that $10 for 100,000 credits lasts me quite a while. So it's a pretty cheap tool to use. Alright, so let me just jump over to Google search. I'm going to show you how this works. I will point out real quick that you can use this in Google search. You can use it in YouTube, I believe. I think you can also use it in answerthepublic.com. There's a few different sites where the tool will work. Basically what it's going to do is show you the search volume off to the side when you start typing a search, as you can see down here. Let me grab my examples here that I wrote down. So I'm going to walk you through an example of how I would use this. So let's just type tips for bass fishing at night. So when you start typing a search term in here, you're going to see the search volume off to the right. Anything without search volume just means that the tool didn't pull any volume for that term. So you have tips for bass fishing at night for 70, what to use for night bass fishing with 0, and then so on. So the way I like to use this tool is, for one, I'm looking for a specific search volume. My team and I, we look for anything between basically 30 and 1,000. Those aren't necessarily hard numbers, but that's kind of what we generally go for. But with that being said, we don't want to actually go after a keyword that only gets 30 searches per month. But what we do is we find something that's 30 or higher, and then we look for variations of that keyword to see if there's more volume associated with it. And that's the thing, whenever you write an article on whatever keyword you're targeting, you're not targeting one keyword, you're targeting a lot of long tail keywords. So the way I like to use this tool to kind of get it to be a little bit more accurate, because like I said in the beginning of the video, no tool is accurate. But what you can do is, if you look for the search volume of all the variations that you can think of, you can at least get a better idea of the kind of volume that you might get, or the kind of volume that you're actually targeting with that keyword. That way you're not going after something where you look for all the variations and you see that every single one comes up like the second one where it shows 0 search volume. That's probably one where I wouldn't target, because to me, the tool is telling me that there's no search volume there. Or you might have one that comes up as 30 and another that comes up as 5,000 or something, and then you know that that's probably a pretty big search term, and you just happen to search a variation that was lower in volume. So that's kind of how I use this tool, and that's what I'm going to walk you through in this example here. So we got tips for bass fishing at night for 70. So if I type a variation of that, how to fish bass at night, and that comes up with 20. That might have been on the previous screen, I don't remember there. So now we're at 90. And then we can do another one, night fishing tips for bass. And what I want to point out with this one, you're going to see that same volume of 70. It's basically the same search volume as the first search that we did, tips for bass fishing at night, but the words are in a different order. So one thing that you'll see with this tool is, a lot of times if the words are simply reordered, it's going to return the same volume. So just keep that in mind. It's not saying that it's 70 plus 70. It's saying it's basically treating it like the same keyword. So we're still at 70 plus 20 in this particular case. How to catch bass at night, which was apparently my next one anyway. So we're at 210 there. So 210 plus the 90, now we're at 300. So that's basically, it's another variation. And what we're trying to do here is we're looking for variations of the search term that essentially mean the same thing. So, and I apologize if you can hear my dog eating in the background here. So we'll do how to bass fish at night. Oops, didn't mean to hit enter there, but how to bass fish at night for 170. So we were at 300, so that puts us at 470. And then the one that I wanted to really point out here, so right now this looks like a pretty good term for me to look into further. And I mean, you're not just going to target something without looking into it a little bit more. But if I start seeing something that's, when I combine the volume, it kind of gets up into that 500 to 1,000 range, that looks like a pretty good keyword to me, because I'm seeing a lot of low volume variations, between 30 and 200 or so, where there's probably not as much competition. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for low competition. You're not looking for low volume, you're looking for low competition. Just happens to be that usually low competition is also low volume. But what I'm going to show you in this case is we haven't really searched the main search term for this, which would be bass fishing at night. So when you search bass fishing at night, comes up with 1,600 searches per month. So this is probably the root search term that most people are using when they're looking for something like tips for bass fishing at night, which was the first one that we searched. So this is why you want to search for the variations, because at this point it's probably telling me 1,600 plus I've already found, I think, 470 or whatever. So that's telling me that this is actually probably a pretty high volume keyword, high volume for what we like to target. So we probably wouldn't even go after it at all, or we wouldn't look into it any further, most likely. I mean, you can obviously add these keywords to your list and come back and check the competition on them and whatnot. Just happens to be that a lot of times when the volume starts getting up into the thousands, it's very rare that you can find one that's worth targeting if you're not going to build backlinks or anything like that. If all you're going to do is produce content and put it out there, you want to target low competition keywords. So that's where I would kind of use that guideline of trying to stay under 1,000 for the search volume. And this one would be one that I would probably put off to the side. I mean, we do actually write these down as far as our process. We will write these down. We'll put them on a spreadsheet, but we will mark these off to come back to later on when our sites have really gotten larger. But we wouldn't target them early on. So just to kind of walk you through other ways to use this tool, but just to recap real quick, what I want to walk you through there is just kind of looking for variations of the keyword that you're trying to target to make sure that the search volume is actually in line with what you're looking for. So if you do a search and it gives you a result of 50, you might think, okay, this is a low volume keyword, there's probably not much competition, I want to add it to my spreadsheet. But before you do that, just think about how are some other ways that people might be searching for the same term, and then check the volume on those. If you see 50 and 50 and 100 and 200, and that's all you see, that might be a good one to look into further. If you see 50 and then 0 and 0 and 0 and 0, that might be too low to go into. If you see 50 and then you see 1,000 and 2,000 and so on, that might be too high, and you just happen to search an oddball variation in the beginning. So that's kind of how I use this tool to kind of get a better idea. So like I said, use it as a guideline just to get a better idea of the actual search volume that you're trying to target. But as far as other ways to use the tool, so let's just say you type in something like how to carp fish. And by the way, as you're typing, it's going to give you search volume here. So you can just let it auto-complete and it'll show you search volume. So that's one way to use the tool. So how to carp fish. You're going to see it has 1,000 here. Then you can see some longer tail keywords here. So how to carp fish with corn, 90, how to carp fish with bread. So that's one way to use it. But if you just hit enter here, another way to use it is if you look over on the right side, you're going to see some trend data. I've never used this a single time, but it shows you trends over time, so it's probably good information. If you go down a little bit further, you're going to see some related keywords. So this is really good information. Again, I have it set to highlight anything that's 30 and above in volume. You can set it to however you want. So these ones up here are all 30 and above. These are 0. It does make some sense to target keywords that are very, very low in volume early on. So let's say that for us, we try to stay 30 and above, and then we want to find variations that add up to a lot more than that. But for somebody starting a new site, it does make sense sometimes to target some of those really low volume keywords, even ones that don't show any search volume. Because if you can just get a trickle of traffic to your site early on, let Google start to gauge the user interactions on your site, that can actually help you grow your site more quickly and get traffic to your site. So early on, you should target some super low volume keywords. Don't make it all your keywords, but definitely do target a few of them. So anyway, so if you scroll down here, you've got the related keywords. You go down again, you got people also search for. So you got another list of keywords here. Then down here, you got long tail keywords as well. So you got 3 long lists there. And what you can do is you can kind of really go down rabbit holes here. And this is what I used to do all the time. So you'd say, okay, what's a nice one here that looks good? So how to catch carp with corn. That sounds interesting, so you click on that. And so now that's your main search, and then you just go down here. Now you have more search terms to look into. So how to catch carp quickly, how to catch carp in a pond, how to catch carp in a river. So you can click on that, and you can just keep drilling down. And what you do is you just add these to a spreadsheet to come back to later. Search for variations like I told you. Just write down the search volume or the keyword and search volume. Come back to them, find the variations. Try to get the true volume of that search term, and then if it kind of falls into your ballpark that you're targeting, then you go on to the next step, which is checking competition, which we'll go into in a different video. So that's basically how I use this tool. A couple other things that you can do with the tool. So you can show, aside from search volume, you can show, I believe, cost per click and competition level, if I remember correctly. I turn those off because I check competition a different way. I do it manually, but if you want to see those things, you can do that. But for me, I just do the search volume, highlight 30 and above. There's a lot of things you can configure. You can configure it to only show search volume from like the United States or global, however you want to do it. So all you do is just click the K here, and you can go into the settings, and there's a bunch of settings you can change. Excuse me. Configure it however you'd like. So highly recommended tool. Super cheap to use, super easy to use. So this is our go-to tool. I will dive into some keyword research videos. I have a couple of them lined up that'll probably come out in a few weeks here, and I'll dive deeper into this tool and how we use it to find keywords. But yeah, that's what we look for. We're looking for anything as far as search volume, kind of that 30 to 1,000. But when I say 30, we want to find variations on that to add up a little bit more. We're looking more for probably realistically a couple of hundred to a couple thousand. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I just really want to show you that you don't have to target high volume keywords or even medium volume keywords to drive a lot of traffic to your sites. We target mostly low volume keywords on our sites, and as I've said before, we have over 250,000 page views to each of our 4 sites currently per month. So you can target low volume and even really low volume sometimes and still succeed. It's just another approach. It's one that not as many people like to take, and as a result, it's not as competitive. So if you like the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up and the subscribe button below. Don't forget to hit the bell icon if you want to be notified of future videos. Also, if you head over to passiveincomeunlocked.com, I'm posting new content over there all the time. Some of the content that you see over there won't be found on this channel, so definitely check it out. Thanks as always for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.